All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. We're here live in Del Rio, Texas, right from the studio. So, good morning, Frank. How you doing,
Hey,
brother?
good morning, Manny. What's
Man,
up, bro?
happy Taco
Hey,
Tuesday.
everybody.
And so, I had my taco this morning, man. It's already gone.
Oh, yeah. It's getting washed down with coffee. Uh, Potato, egg, and bean with extra beans, bro. Got to get that gas going for the day, man.
Man, and I don't know what it is about the machacado taco, bro. It's like my regular go-to, bro. I guess because I don't have it, any other time except on Taco Tuesday, and
Yeah.
because like we talked about before, back in New Mexico, we really don't have the machacado
Oh, wow.
taco, bro, and so it's one of my favorites since I got over here. So
Yeah, you got to come to Texas to get some beef.
yes, amen, amen. And so there we go.
There we go. And today we have a live studio audience as well, watching from the gallery there.
Yeah, and so it's not pre-recorded, so praise the Lord. I'm feeling pretty good today, man. I had a really good night's sleep last night. I actually was visiting my kids in San Antonio, and so I got back last night and had an awesome rest and ready to go this morning because there is a lot to talk about this morning in regards to upcoming primaries and elections and things like that, and people getting signed up to be candidates and whatnot. So you had a pretty busy week, right?
Yeah, I was, we had 13 slots here in Valverde County. Only 2 of them held by Republicans. So I was really hoping to contest those other 11 slots. And, so we did have 4 new persons, one incumbent that I know of for JP Precinct 3, Pat Cole. And I'm assuming that our judge went to Austin and, signed up over there. But then we have 4 new people for Precinct Commissioner 2, for District Clerk, County Clerk, and what was the other person? County Clerk, District Clerk, Precinct 2, and the JP position. Yeah, that's 5.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And those are Republican candidates.
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And I know you and I have been approached to people have asked us if we're willing to run and things like that. As much as I would love to do that, my calling, I believe, is here and in other places and whatnot, and to help encourage others to get involved as well.
Yeah.
What we do here at Talk About It Live is create awareness of what is happening in regards to this ongoing border crisis. We got 3 candidates still, right? There's just 3 candidates running for governor, or has anybody else jumped in?
There's a bunch. There's actually, if you go look at the database, Secretary of State, there's more, bro. But the more prominent ones are Alan West, Don Huffines, and Chad Prather, seeking to get rid of Abbott.
Yeah. Yeah, and people, some maybe have a little heartache with that, Frank. That I do want a different governor. Republican governor. Not a Democratic governor. And again, I'm not saying that just because they have a Republican by their name that they're all that as well. I have talked with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. I have talked with Dan Huffines. I really haven't had a chance to talk with Prather, but I really appreciate Lieutenant Colonel Alan West and Don Huffines and what they stand for, and believe that they are good candidates. And not rhinos.
Yeah.
So which is what we don't need, and which is sadly what we have here in our district.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of it, bro, is just that folks see what's happening. The invasion continues, really unhindered. I mean, it's just we're talking earlier about we do have state resources deployed out there, and remember a few months ago, Manny, we had DPS all over the place here, and National Guard, and they're still here, but they're moving down south towards Normandy, Camalo area, and then the Rio Grande Valley is just still crazy. It's crazy, the images that are coming out of the lower Rio Grande Valley. And we were talking about, the management of those resources, how it's costing us a lot of money, basically for escorts and babysitters.
Yep.
Travel. The travel industry is really right now hopping for the cartels, man.
Yep. And once in a while they'll release like some footage or news media about drugs and being apprehended and whatnot. But folks, right now that's far and few between. We are losing so much because the reality is all these resources we have down here. In my opinion, now don't get me wrong, I love our law enforcement, I love our National Guard, I love our armed forces, and I appreciate what they do because a lot of them are away from home. They're here on the border, and working all kinds of crazy hours and shifts and whatnot. But the reality is, I think, Frank, that the resources that we have down here, that Abbott has sent down here, like we said, they're nothing but sadly babysitters and escort services because the footage that I've seen and people that I've talked to, once these illegal aliens cross, they're just holding them to turn them over to Border Patrol once again.
Yeah, and man, I mean, it's just it's so inefficient, man. It's inefficient,
Yeah.
and people say, well, what are you going to do? What would you do? And we've talked at length about the need for strong policy for our governor to, not just push back on Biden, but also to put some pressure on Mexico. They're our neighbor, and as neighbors, there's a mutual relationship there,
Yeah.
and there's mutual interests, and but Mexico doesn't want these people in their country.
No.
And they basically have said it. Hey, look, you all invited them. Biden invited them. They're coming across, and I hope people remember that as we go into primary season to elect the most staunch, strongest fighters for Texans, for our interest, for our home, for our future. What we're going to see, Manny, is going to be the same familiar playbook from the past, where the establishment, has anointed their candidates, and they're gonna fight against the grassroots candidates, and you're gonna see that played out across the state, folks. You're gonna see it played out in your district. You may even see some of that locally, where a person is a threat to the status quo. A person is a threat, to the elitists that are, strangling our communities, our state, our nation. And so they're going to fight by anointing their puppets and getting behind the people that are going to serve the interest of a small group of people versus the interest of Texans at large, man.
That's messed up. For lack of a better word,
Yeah,
because
it's all jacked up.
yeah, because the reality is that a lot of these people that are in the establishment, part of the status quo, they come in, office one way and leave richer.
Oh, yeah.
They with more bank in their pocket, with more influence and circles that have nothing to do with Texas, that have nothing to do with the rights of Americans. And sad to say that there are people who are at the grassroots level, trying to make a difference, and we're fighting two fronts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's sad, bro. For the grassroots Texans, Americans, you hit something right there, man. That we're caught in the pincher between the socialist ideologues on the left,
Right.
and this the establishment, which some have said is a unity party, where it's Democrats and Republicans together, basically trying to get richer.
Yeah.
Or trying to get rich, and the ones that suffer for that are the everyday Texans, everyday Americans who, are faithful to the process, bro. We've been living by this process of where you field candidates, you get behind them, you support them, but then there's betrayal on a massive level. We are being betrayed left and right, and so that's why elections matter. Elections have consequences.
Yeah.
And so yesterday evening, 6 p.m. was the closing deadline in Texas for folks that were vying for positions from the county level on up. And so we're going to be following that, because you're going to see the establishment, their puppets, out there running around. And when I call what's establishment? It's establishment are the folks within the Republican Party, at least from our perspective, that espouse the values. They say they're conservative. They say they're going to fight socialism. They say they're going to fight for Texans, but they get to D.C., bro, and they just line right up.
Yeah.
And it's about making money, serving the interests of their corporate sponsors and their handlers.
And we've seen that even within the organization and the agency that we were with the United States Border Patrol for so many years. I used to wonder all the time, there was, good, solid men and women in green, and then making supervisor and whatnot, and still remaining solid at the field level. And then for some reason, once they get up to the headquarters level there in DC, things change. There's there's compromise. Politics gets involved, and I'm not saying that it happens to everybody, but it happens to quite a few.
Yeah.
And we see that with elected officials as well. That as far as people getting involved in political office, they come out starting out as statesmen,
Yeah.
proclaiming freedom, and then next thing you know, they get into office, they get up there, and next thing you know, they compromise their values,
Yeah.
they compromise their morals, and then like I think I shared this one of our first episodes. I was never crazy about Jesse the Body Ventura when he was governor of I think it was Minnesota.
Yeah.
But he did say something that was pretty interesting. And he said, when I got involved in politics, before I got involved in politics, he said that he used to think that everybody was blue versus red. He says, but reality, he goes, it's like WWF wrestling. We're all fighting in the ring,
Yeah.
but then behind the scenes, we're all buddies.
Yeah.
We're all buddies and we get along. And we're pulling the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah, and one person here said, "Watch the endorsements," and here in Texas, folks, definitely watch who these people are getting endorsed by. It's either going to be grassroots endorsers, grassroots activist groups who are fighting for any number of grassroots concerns, critical race theory, gender modification, election security, border security. So you're going to have the grassroots element, but then you're going to have the likes of Kevin McCarthy, who is all over Texas all of a sudden. He's down in Rio Grande Valley, and I'm born in McAllen, raised in Alamo. And so I keep tabs on what's happening down there. And Kevin McCarthy's running around with what is turning out to be an establishment Tejano group of candidates out there, bro.
Wow.
Because they think that they have to pander to us and cater to us by ethnicity. But you know what? We're Texans and we're Americans. And so they've seized the opportunity the establishment has. Kevin McCarthy, Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, they're running around endorsing people. And I'll just put it out there, bro. If they're endorsed by these people, then they're not going to serve the interest of everyday Texans. It's going to be more about furthering their agenda, furthering, the enrichment, of their bank accounts.
Yep.
They're going to be sold out to the special interests, to corporates, to the PAC, to the lobbyists, and left behind in the freaking wake of that mess is everyday Texas, everyday families who are having to deal with the fallout from their decisions, man.
And that's sad for me because that's where all this reputation comes in, or this stereotype comes in that all the Republicans are just in it for the money, and because we see the establishment, we see the status quo, we see the I guess what do you say the swamp getting in there and pandering to the people with money, and forgetting that everyday Texans and Americans and leaving them in the dust, and then like right now with all this stuff going on, and the Democrats just basically bulldozing and bulldogging everybody. Bulldogging is actually a prison term.
Yeah.
Not that I was in prison. I worked in prison.
Yeah.
In prison, but we used to use this term called bulldogging, where a small a majority would try to do the right thing, but others in the minority who were kind of bigger and stronger, were louder, would bulldog them, and push their voices down. And we see that in the Democratic Party. But the reality, what I don't see is that I don't see a lot of Republican politicians and officials saying anything.
Yeah, they've been silent. I mean, you'll get some token resistance stuff, but like for instance, bro, remember right here in Congressional District 23, Tony Gonzalez ran saying he was going to fight socialism.
Right.
He's going to fight Nancy Pelosi. He's done as much, if not more, than a Democrat would have done.
Yeah.
Everything from his vote on the January 6th commission, his vote to create the vaccine database.
Wow.
His vote, his acquiescence when he was approached by DHS to ask the Department of Defense to allow flights of illegal aliens to fly out of lawfully enforced space. He could have just said, no, I'm not going to do that. Tony Gonzalez has been more of a socialist than probably Gina Ortiz Jones would have been.
and the thing is that you think that wouldn't happen. Now he's trying to kind of redeem himself. I don't even know if he's trying to redeem himself, but he's trying to say the right things. And
Well,
folks,
it's political season,
yeah,
man.
it's political season, but don't forget, he's the one who petitioned the Biden administration to fly illegal aliens out of Laughlin Air Force Base, and also he's the one who's petitioned, or not petitioned, but he's the one who's trying to raise funds for these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations like Valverde, Humanitarian Border Coalition here in Del Rio, that are releasing and helping charter buses and flights over 1,000 per week out of Del Rio.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. He's going to be challenged in the primary. We're going to be keeping an eye on that. We're going to be keeping an eye on several races. Well, folks, why? Well, we're political junkies. We like that, but more than that, these elected officials are going to head either to Austin or to D.C. They're going to continue making decisions, that are either going to be good for us and bad for us, or bad for us. And so, right now they've exposed themselves. Another race that we're going to keep an eye on is in Senate District 24, where our friend and my former candidate, I was campaign manager for Raul Reyes. He's running against former Senator Pete Flores, who was a senator for District 19 here in Texas, where Valverde County is located in. It's about 17 counties. Anyways, they gerrymandered, the District 24, bro, just so that the sliver of Atascosa County would contain his home in Atascosa County. You look at the map and you just see that slice, into Atascosa County, and it was done so that Peter Flores, who's a friend of Abbott, who's a friend of Dan Patrick, who's a friend of Phelan and the establishment in Austin, has been thrown into the SD24 fight, where Raul Reyes is the true conservative choice. Right. And we've seen that template before. We saw it right here, when Raul was running as a conservative, and then they brought in the establishment, Tony Gonzalez. They threw all their money behind it. They threw all their support behind it. And that's the playbook strategy right there, folks. And so down in South Texas and Northwest, East, throughout Texas, folks, and the country, look at the people that are in the fight. Look for the establishment support. And vote the opposite, man, because more than likely they're trying to X out the conservative, man.
I don't want to think, or be a conspiracy theorist about anything, but since I got involved in all this, it's amazing, Frank, that what you see happening, and like right. If you don't actively look at it or involved, you're not going to see it because these people are doing stuff like this blatantly.
Yeah. I mean. And what happens, what they're counting on, Manny, and to our audience here, is that people don't do their research, bro. Right. That they listen to the hype, they listen to, just the tired pandering. I'm a conservative, I'm going to fight for Texas, whatever. Look at their actions, man. Look at their money. Follow the money. Go to the state.
Follow the money.
Yeah, go to the state Secretary of State, the Treasurer's, Texas Ethics Commission. Go to the Federal Elections Commission. And look at who's giving money to them. Right. And then I'll say it again, even as a Republican chairman and former state Republican executive committee member, don't just blindly give your money to the Republican National Country Club or the Republican National, the RNC. Don't blindly just send it to them, folks. Yeah. Be diligent, be good stewards, be wise with your money. Yep. And research the candidates and give it to the candidate directly. More than likely, that money that goes up to D.C., Austin, bro, is going to wind up as lobby money, PAC money, or salary money for that organization. Give it to the candidate. They're the ones that need it.
Yep. Go to their websites, find out. Look at the candidate that you're more interested in to vote for. I will. And it's hard because we're kind of in a rock and a hard place. I will never, ever, ever vote Democrat. Never. So the hard part is that you have Republicans with an R next to their name, and it could be Republican, it could be Rhino, and that's the hard part. So you have to investigate these candidates, folks. Yeah. And but then the reality too is there may be a good independent who throws his hat in the ring, his or her hat in the ring, and they may be even better. Yeah. So you got to investigate the candidates, and I'll tell you why I won't ever vote Democrat. There's three things that I look at in a candidate, and it has a lot of that has to do with my faith. if they're pro-life, first of all, they have to be pro-life. Democratic Party is not pro-life, folks, and pro-choice is not pro-life. They have to, be pro-marriage, for traditional marriage between one man and one woman,
Yep.
and pro-Israel. If they're not pro-Israel, I'm not gonna vote. And it doesn't matter. It is not because I'm Jewish, but because Israel is our greatest ally in the Middle East. It's the only democracy in the Middle East, and they stand for freedom. And so, and of course, in regards to faith, whether you're a Jew or a Christian, Israel is important, should be important to you, and not just the land of Israel, but the Jewish people.
Yeah. And as I'm looking at the comments here, one person says it's a horseshoe. What does he say? The puppeteer has his fist beneath the skirts of both the puppets on the right and the left. Voters are left to choose between the puppet with whichever costume appeals the most. And so, yeah, that's why this primary process, bro, is critical, man.
Yeah.
It's so critical because this is the funnel point. And what happens, Manny, and to our audience here, is once, the candidate, usually with the most money, unless there's such a grassroots effort, which we almost did here in CD23 with Raul Reyes versus Tony Gonzalez. We almost pulled it off, bro. I think they stole the election out of Bexar County. But anyways, the primary process has become, it leans, it's more favorable to the person with the most money. Yeah. Why? Because the establishment knows that they just got to back this person in the primary, and then for the general election, when we go up against a Democrat, then they're gonna expect and fall back on their once again playbook strategy. Vote red, keep it red. If it's a terrible person like Tony Gonzalez here was shaping up to be Pete Flores and SD24, they'll say hold your nose, pinch your nose, and vote red.
Yeah.
Vote R. And then so you're left wondering, really R for rhino or R for red?
Yeah, exactly.
And oftentimes it's a rhino that they floated. And so you said it earlier, bro. Maybe it's time for the rise of true conservative patriot independents who say to hell with the Democrat puppeteers and to hell with the Republican puppeteers. We're going to stand for Texas. We're going to stand, for our freedom, for our nation as patriots, not necessarily as Republicans or Democrats. And I can see, people getting their panties in a wad about that. But you know what? Yeah. We got to do what's best for our future, our children, our state, man. Our freedom.
I talked to my kids. I have two of my children who are married, and we're praying for grandchildren. But there's a legitimate fear that my kids have about what type of America their kids are going to grow up in. And I have that fear as well. Of course, we put our faith and our trust in God, and I believe in the return of the Messiah.
Amen,
but at the same time, I don't want my children to suffer and whatnot. But the hard part, Frank, as well, is that the establishment in the Republican Party, when they throw money behind a candidate, for many people, perception is reality. Optics is reality. They see these fancy commercials. They see, look at when Tony Gonzalez was putting these commercials. He had the audacity to put up a fake Border Patrol agent, but yet the production of the commercial was outstanding. Yeah. And so people overlooked the fact that he actually had a fake Border Patrol agent. A man posing as a Border Patrol agent, which is against the law. Yeah. And.
That was actually investigated by CBP, bro. It was actually investigated because that was a crime.
Yeah.
It's terrible, bro. That I remember when the Dan Crenshaw spy video came out with Tony Gonzalez and several others, folks. Dan Crenshaw out of the Houston area, folks. He's a sellout.
Yeah, he's another
honestly,
rhino. Yep.
He's another rhino. People are finding that out, and somebody texted me the other day and said, "I've noticed that Tony Gonzalez votes like Dan Crenshaw." Dude, we were blasting that out last year, man, when we saw them, and we were novices in the political sphere, man. But we quickly learned that the enemy is in the House. The establishment cancer in the Republican Party is as much a cause of the destruction, the degrading of America, bro, because for them it's about greed, and power and prestige. My God, man, we got to get away from that sycophant, mentality where people are running around sticking their noses up other people's butts.
Yeah.
You've got to vote for people of character, people of moral strength, for true patriots,
Yeah.
man. Not people that want to go and just get their egos freaking massaged or get their pockets lined with money. And of course, on the left, dude, it's about destruction. It's about making us slaves to the state.
Yeah.
I sent you a video this morning about the nose jab.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The nose
Yeah.
scrape.
And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist about things like that, but and I really don't watch too many of those videos. But I watched part of this one, and oh my gosh, man, it is very, very compelling. And then I was thinking to myself, well, because there's a lot of people say, well, I can't believe that people would actually do this. I don't know if people have ever heard of Nazi Germany. When they were doing eugenic experiments on people, not just Jews, but on all kinds of people. And then we had eugenic experiments done here in America as well. I don't know if people remember that the United States government at one time actually injected syphilis into black people to see how, without them knowing, And so that's a whole. I'm going to start going off on another thing.
No, bro, you're right, man. As far as that murderous spirit, Manny, not just Nazi Germany, man. Go back all the way to Egypt and Pharaoh, bro, and slaughtering children. Go back into Israel.
Well, you can go modern America here with Margaret Sanger.
Oh yeah,
big fan of eugenics.
Yeah, extermination of people, man. Yeah. It's what I've heard this from so many people now. What sounded like crazy freaking conspiracy, a year ago. Oh my God, stuff is coming true before our very eyes, man. And people need to wake up. You need to get armored up with prayer, with the Word of God, spending time in your prayer closet with the Lord, seeking His face, asking for wisdom and guidance, protection. But also that the eyes of the blind, bro, that the eyes of the folks who are willfully ignorant, sticking their heads in the sand, will be shaken, that will be open, and that their lives will be shaken, man, because we need Americans to, wake up to the threat and get into prayer, but also get informed, get armed with knowledge, because America's, we need for this next election in March, bro, the primary elections, to be made by an informed electorate.
And you actually used a biblical term right there, willfully ignorant. The scriptures actually predict and tell us that in these last days people will be willfully ignorant. And not only that, but that they'll be gaining, gaining knowledge, but never ever learning.
Oh, wow.
And so it's amazing to me because we see that this whole generation of people, Frank, that are just everything, all this worldwide information is on their smartphones, always seeking knowledge, but never ever learning.
Yes.
And candidates, in the scriptures, the Bible teaches us that false teachers, depend upon the ignorance of their followers. And that eventually these ignorant followers will draw people to themselves, draw teachers to themselves that tickle their ears. And can the same be said for these politicians? Yes, because there is a spiritual dynamic there, Frank, in regards to evil influence. Ralph Shaul, the Apostle Paul, said in these last days, the God of this world, the influence of Satan, he refers him to the God of this world. We know who the true God of this world is, but he refers to Satan in the smallest terms of the God of this world in regards to his influence is going to be everywhere. We have to remember that Satan is not a created being. He's not all powerful. He's not all knowing. He's not omniscient. But his influence, sure enough, is everywhere, and we see it.
Yeah, and I think you said Satan is a created.
Yeah, he is. I'm sorry, he is a created being. He is a created being. So that means that he has an end, and so that's why he's not all powerful, and not everywhere. And so I may have mixed up my words. He is a created being.
Yeah, he is, and so of course we know, and this might be a bit of a cliche. We know the end. He knows his end. And that's why he prowls around. Like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Yeah. And so these are dark times, but also, folks, our hope, our trust is in Christ. And so, we need to, walk forward in this life, on the one hand, doing the things of life, taking care of children, going to work, taking care of family members, et cetera, the things of life, but also with an eye towards eternity.
Yep.
And so first of all, man, you gotta have your Jesus insurance on board. Just like you got it, for your vehicles, for your life, a home, etc. you got to do it for your eternal spirit. Get right with God. Jesus Christ died on the cross for us. He shed his blood so that we could have a doorway into eternity. He said, I am the door.
Yep.
And so, you know, as we go forward into this election season, we're going to be talking about that. But certainly also the border continues, Manny. I was talking with a friend who lives close to the river down here, close to the port of entry, and it's a residential, it's a neighborhood.
Right.
And so one day in the middle of the day, there's 7 people, illegal aliens, in front of his house, and so he's looking at them, and so he goes, "Hey, what are y'all doing here?" And he says, "We were told to come down here and wait down here."
Wow.
And this is off the main road, and it's in front of a house. And then he's like, "What do you mean you were told?" "Yeah, the people over there were walking down the street and they told us to come down here to the end of the road." And this is a dead end street, man. And so he's concerned. He calls Border Patrol. "Hey, we'll get to it when we can." 45 minutes later, an hour, 2 hours later, now there's another 14 total people hanging out in front of his house, man. And he called Border Patrol again and said, "Hey, we'll get to it whenever we can, and we just can't get to it." And so finally he goes out there and he says, "Hey, you know what? You go up to the main road. Get out from in front of my house because people are going to think that I'm a smuggler here or something. Get out of here." And so they all went up to the main road, which is down there by the winery.
Yeah.
And so they're on that main road. What is that, man? I forget right now.
Qualia.
Yeah, Qualia.
Yeah.
So they go out to Qualia, and I guess eventually they were picked up. Oh, and he says as he was driving out, he saw another 5 guys, and he said, "Now these guys, the other guys looked like they were from Mexico or Central America. These guys, they were like from Haiti or Africa.
Wow.
Just walking around the streets of Del Rio like nothing, bro. And these are neighborhoods, where children are playing in the streets, man.
Yep, and we can't ignore the fact either that folks, you need to remember that the sex offendant sexual offender percentage went up over 2,000% since Biden has been in office.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's in that mix of people, right?
Yeah.
A friend of mine, real good friend of mine, brother of mine that has some property over there off of Highway 90. Went to their property a few days ago, actually last week, and they have a little trailer, their little fifth wheel. Opened up the door, and there's like 5 or 6 illegal aliens there inside their trailer, and which is not uncommon. We, in the Border Patrol, we saw that a lot. We would go to the hunting camps and whatnot, and we would find illegal aliens inside the trailers. But when he asked them what they were doing there, they were told the same thing.
Yeah.
Somebody told us that to come over here and wait.
Yeah.
That they told us we could stay here, and he did, brother. He just put up the trailer like 2 days before.
Yeah.
And so what I expressed to him is that, look, there's these guides. They hang out there. They hang out in the brush. They hang out on the ranches. I remember in the Border Patrol, I was after one guide for like 3 years. And we had this cat and mouse game going on. Because that's their whole job.
Yeah.
But it's sad to say, Frank, that these people these illegal aliens are getting, these smugglers and guides are getting so blatant, just putting people in, illegal aliens in people's property.
Yeah. Well, somebody just sent me some information here. Votes Against Party Majority by Tony Gonzalez, Republican out of Texas, man. So anyways, yeah, I'll look at this. Hey, thanks to our viewer there for sending me this information. We'll definitely look at his voting record. And the reason we focus on Tony Gonzalez so much, folks, is because this is our home district.
Yeah.
And of course, I was intimately involved in trying to win this district for a true, warrior. And so the citizens of CD23, how you like them? How you liking that now with Tony Gonzalez, man, and everything he's done?
It was amazing, Frank. When we went door to door, knocking on doors and talking with people, when I was helping y'all with Raul Reyes,
Yes.
And people would tell me, no, I'm voting for Tony Gonzalez. And I would ask them why. And they said, well, he seems to be the better candidate. They couldn't really explain to me why.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is I've talked with people that had voted for him since. And it's funny because some of them tell me, well, I didn't realize he was going to be like this. I'm like, well, all you have to do is investigate who he was.
Yes.
That's all you have to do, folks. Like when friends of mine first voted for Obama, who since changed after Obama, they went back to Republican. Yeah. But, and what's funny is because when Obama was running against, when Obama was running for president, people were telling me, well, we need a change. We need a change from Bush. I'm like, this is his last term, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't run again, So anyway, they voted for Obama, and then a lot of them were telling me, well, I didn't know he was going to do all this. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, just
You
like
know, there's so many people exposing, so many people sounding the alarm, bro. You know, Paul Revere was up north. Down here, we had all the Pablo Riveras,
yeah, yeah,
warning people about what was coming. And so, you need to break the paradigm, people. You need to break that box that says, I'm going to go for the candidate that looks like the more likely to win in November. There is a certain truth to that, but when all the red flags are up, when the alarms, the whistles, the lights, everything is going off and telling you this is a bad choice, and you have a person running against that candidate who says also that they're conservative, says also they're going to fight, for Texas. You need to spend some time digging into the candidates, and talk to them. Ask him to visit with you, whatever. I know there's a lot of candidates right now that are hungry for that vote. They're out there visiting. Tony Gonzalez is spending all his money and our money. I got a flyer this weekend, Manny, and just hey, he's drowning people with mailouts.
Yeah.
And on that one flyer, it says, paid for by the U.S. House of Representatives.
Wow.
Man. And so he's he's always asking for money. He's getting money from PACs. Just go to his FEC, and now he's also using our money, via the U.S. House of Representatives. That's our money that he's using to flood our mailboxes with his lies. Because Tony Gonzalez is a liar, bro.
Yeah.
He lied to the faces of CD23. People need to wake up to that now. In this race, it's going to be contested. There's going to be others. So real quick, shifting gears here. In our district here, and guys, do the research for your district. House District 74 is
Morales, right?
13, 14 counties. We're in it. House District 74 goes out west to Hudspeth, Sierra Blanca. Yeah, to Sierra Blanca, and then Culberson, Van Horn, and comes in Brewster, which in Presidio, Brewster, Alpine. So there's a woman by the name of Kathleen Parker who has thrown her name in the Republican ticket to fight Eddie Morales out of Eagle Pass.
Wow.
And so she's an independent, a business owner. And I'll be honest now, I can say it, bro. I was being asked to run for that office as well. There's other things going on in my life. But I seriously contemplated running for HD 74, and I was very relieved to hear that somebody else is going to run. Now, I just preliminary research, a Christian conservative, business owner. That's a lot of kudos there, bro. That's a lot of good marks there. But once again, we need to. She's going to run unopposed in the primary.
Yeah.
But it's still good for to know that.
Yeah.
She's going to be out there running against Eddie Morales in HD 74, which there's a lot of strange stuff happening in Eagle Pass, Manny, and we could devote a whole show to that. But you guys, we have a friend out there, Isaac T. Ruiz.
Yeah, the Rising Texan.
Rising Texan.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of expose, newsworthy stuff out of Maverick County. He's trying his best to expose corruption, malfeasance, in the dirty politics in Maverick County. So you need to look for Isaac T. Ruiz, and he spells it ISAAK.
Right.
T dot period Ruiz, Ruiz.
Or you can just look up for the Rising Texan.
The Rising Texan.
Yeah, and he's actually doing such an awesome job that he got filed against, right?
Yeah, he got sued by Eddie Morales.
Yeah, and then had him on the show. He had him on
the show before, but since then,
Yeah.
So Eddie Morales, the state rep in HD 74 sued one of his constituents, for the things he was saying, there's a lot of public access information, and it has to do with Isaac was looking into property taxes and questioning why certain people in Maverick County pay way low taxes.
Way low
taxes.
Which has been going on forever, bro, over there since I've been there. It's sad to say.
Yeah, you were stationed in Maverick
I was
County.
stationed.
You lived in Maverick.
I was there, and bro, we used to call it the Free State of Maverick County.
Wow.
Because it was basically corruption. Well, look how bad it was, Frank. Because at one point, almost all of the city council was arrested.
Yeah.
All our city leaders were arrested at one point.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but he's also working to expose these non-government organizations as well as just like the one we have here in Del Rio, Texas. And I'm going to continue saying their name, the Valverde County Border Humanitarian Coalition. Folks, we need to work. We need to put a man or woman in office who will defund these organizations who will revoke their licenses, folks, they're nothing more than travel agencies for the cartels.
Yes,
And
they're part of the
smuggling
cartel invasion
Right.
pipeline, bro.
And they're not. And the sad thing is, Frank, is they're not helping these illegal aliens. I'm getting reports, Frank, that these organizations are chartering their buses for them, and then they're ending up in places and have nowhere else to go.
And the reports I'm getting also, Manny, is so what they're doing is they're getting tickets for these people.
Yeah.
And they're raising the prices, bro. They're exploiting these people.
Wow.
They're charging inflated prices for transportation tickets, and they're pocketing the difference. Those are reports I'm getting, man.
Which I don't doubt. I don't doubt, because and it's funny, Frank, because we talked about it before, that these NGOs never popped up when there's crisis in regards to like homeless veterans, underprivileged children and families, right? All of a sudden we're getting this influx of illegal aliens that have money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize, Frank, that a lot of these illegal aliens cross here with thousands of dollars in their pockets.
Yeah.
Right, and especially when the Haitians were coming through, a lot of them had up to anywhere from 10,000 to 15,000. I remember one agent told me that he counted almost 20,000 on one.
Yeah.
And so and they get turned over to these NGOs, and what happens? These NGOs are the ones who shuttle them everywhere, who help them everywhere. And what's amazing to me, Frank, is that when we've tried to film them, and I try to film one on the parking lot of Stripes the other day. I got complained on. You got complained on.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that they don't want people knowing what is happening.
Yeah, they don't want to get filmed. I was actually threatened by I don't know if it's a friend or family member of an NGO worker. Send me a private message. About what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
So it's part of what the risk, Manny. And we dealt with it, man. In the military, and in the border patrol, we strap on the gun. We know it might be our last day. It's a reality that we live with. But there's also a danger when you start exploiting, the maneuvers and the operations of the cartels, bro. They have their extension on this side. You said something earlier about, they knew where to send those illegal aliens to. They knew, where to go. They're all over the place. There are people in the United States side of the river that work for the cartels.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing it as for money. They're related to them. They're friends with them. On the border regions, folks, I mean, that's one of the realities, is that the crime, the corruption, the bribery culture in Mexico does creep over into the United States. Yep. And in some places more prevalent. I would say Maverick County, it is definitely, there's more, dark stuff that's happening, down there.
Brother, there
needs to be exposed.
Yep, there is one neighborhood that we used to patrol, brother. In the border patrol, you need reasonable suspicion, right, to pull somebody over. It's different than probable cause, right?
Yes.
When you're living next to the border,
Right. Within 100 miles.
Within 100 miles, it's called reasonable suspicion. Border patrol agents have the authority to pull people over, without probable cause, but with reasonable suspicion, to question their right to be in the United States. Yeah. And so a lot of people get offended by that, but reality, folks, it's different. So if you're a law student, because I used to get law students tell me, I'm a law student, you need probable cause. No, Border Patrol's different. Yeah. And so
that's why some people call it constitution-free zone, bro.
Right, exactly. But we had one neighborhood, brother, where our reasonable suspicion was 100%. Anybody coming out of that neighborhood, brother, we had the authority to pull over, and because it was so bad over there.
Yeah.
But when we talk about these NGOs not wanting people to see what is really happening, and I think one of the big reasons, folks, is that they, in my opinion, I believe that they are also aiding and facilitating human sex trafficking.
Yep.
Because a lot of these families that come over here, folks, are fraudulent. A lot of these minors don't belong to them, and they're just setting them out. But we're seeing now, Frank. I want to play a video real quick by Ben Burkham, Frontline
Yes.
America, right? And who was confronted by National Guard in a public place, right? And it's a very compelling video because we see now that even the National Guard is and I love them.
Yeah.
I love them, but folks, this is very compelling. So I'm going to put this up here real quick. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, we'll break it down on the other side.
This is an invasion of a. We're more worried about the media actually showing what's happening than the invaders themselves.
Hold on, my
No,
son.
they don't. They tell you lies. If you're watching CNN, they're telling you lies. Yes, sir.
You're not allowed to be filming anywhere near here. You're gonna have to stop recording, please. please? Stop recording.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that this is a security point. I have been here longer than you have,
Okay.
sir. I need you to stop recording,
So
and I need
this
you
is
to
a
move back.
this is a First Amendment right
Sir,
issue.
not negative. You need to stop and please move away.
Based on what?
This is a security point, sir. You need to stop
Right.
recording. I'm not
Security-
giving you permission to record any of this.
We're in a public place.
This is not a public place, sir.
This road is a public
No, this
road.
is not
This is a public
place.
access
The
road.
public place is up there.
Okay, so you're going to allow these people to invade our country
So you need to stop.
based on whose orders?
You need to stop recording, please. And you
This
need
is
to
a
move
First
up.
Amendment right.
You need to
You're
move up, sir.
violating the First
You need to
Amendment.
move up.
You're allowing our look at this.
Sir, you need to please step back.
And what will
you
happen
need
if
to
I
please
don't?
step back.
What will happen if I don't?
Nothing's gonna happen to you.
Okay.
I'm just asking you to
So
please
I'm going to
step
stand here. I'll stand out of your way.
back. Sir, I need
You
you,
guys
to please
see-
step.
you
I
guys
need
see
you to
what's
please
happening.
step back.
Okay.
I need you to step less back. I need you to please move back.
We
sir.
have 5 rafts coming across here.
Sir,
I will
need you to
stay out of
please
your
move
way.
back.
I will stay out of your way.
It's not a part of being
I'm just
in
saying
our way.
you're wrong. This is not. This is. I
need
have
you
a
to
right to
please-
be here as part of the
I
press.
understand. Just please step back.
Based on whose orders?
I'm the one in charge right now.
Okay.
Can you please step back? Can you please stop recording?
I will not stop recording.
All right, he goes on. He goes on and asked for proof of authority, and the National Guardsman sadly can't say and provide any authority except his own.
Yeah, Ben says based on whose authority? Based on mine, and that's the danger. Damn it! I'm sorry, bro, but that's what I'm talking about, bro. Is the authoritarian mindset of some people. We saw it in the Border Patrol
Yep,
people.
saw it
There
in the
were
border.
people that had no business in law enforcement because they were a danger, not just to themselves, man. They were a danger to the general public.
Right.
And so you've got here an obviously misinformed, mistrained or untrained National Guard trooper, and I put that not on. Well, he's a staff sergeant. He says he's a staff sergeant.
He should know better. He should know better.
But I also put the blame on the commander of National Guard troops, likewise McGraw, the commander of DPS troopers, and Abbott and Dan Patrick. This is what Texans are having to deal with. If it's not the cartel invaders, it is the stifling, the suppression, the minimizing of our constitutional rights and the border regions, man. And so this situation that's happening under Governor Abbott's watch, is going to lead to men like Ben, people like Ben, you and I, Anthony Aguero and Sheena Rodriguez, who are out here running around trying to tell Americans what's happening. They're sounding the alarm. It's Paulo Rivera's, Paul Revere's saying this is what's happening. And so Abbott needs to ensure that his personnel are trained in constitutional freedoms, constitutional rights. And what Ben is referring to there is freedom of the press. Freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom to address your grievances with the elected officials. Those are all First Amendment rights, as is religion, bro. Anyways, Ben is right. That National Guardsman is wrong, and the blame is squarely in the lap of Governor Abbott, because he's sending these troops into our ground. Those were men with weapons, bro, surrounding him. I was waiting for Ben, and I'd seen that before. I was waiting for Ben who gets body slammed.
And it was amazing, Frank, is that in those rafts, we have seen smugglers throw drugs along with the illegal alien traffic. I'm trying to stay away from the 10 codes because every time my mind keeps going back to the 10 codes. But they throw drugs in with the illegal aliens, and so these National Guardsmen have if you notice, they turn their back on what's coming across the river to focus on Ben. And Ben is out of the way. He's in a public place. He's on a public road. If they wanted to secure that area, all they have to do is put tape or anything like that or notices, but they didn't because it's public access.
Public access.
And then it's funny because we watched towards the end of the video, the National Guardsman asked Ben, "Well, what's your authority?" He goes, "The Constitution." And that's true. It's the reality that the freedom of the press.
The freedom of the press,
what we
bro.
have.
And that's a general rule of thumb. I mean, if you can go there as a member of the public to conduct public business, and in this case, Ben is doing, he's recording matters of public interest.
Right.
He has a right to be there. And don't fall for that. Where's your press credentials? The only press credential we need in this country, bro, is the Constitution.
Yep.
It's given to every citizen. There is no one central place that issues out press passes. There is no one central facility. There's no central tracking for that, other than some freaking government database maybe that's been set
Now
up
there's
to
some
track Americans.
there's some events that are by invitation only,
Yes.
so so respect that,
Yes.
as well, because they
and,
will
that,
have,
and that's probably a private venue and
yeah,
stuff.
it's a private venue, something like that, a private meeting or press conference and whatnot. So respect that.
And some corporations may issue press credentials, to make it easier for their reps to move
Right.
around in areas. And
Right.
and there's going to be, there's going to be some areas that say, I remember Governor Abbott came here, and the only way you could get to where he was at was through press credentials.
Yeah.
And so I was able to ride along with an actual member of the press and go down there and film some stuff. But for the most part, we don't need any centrally issued press credential of any kind.
Yep.
And, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know, but if you notice, I think that National Guardsman, the staff sergeant, because Ben was talking to a guardsman there,
Yeah.
and just having a conversation with him, and then the staff sergeant shows up, and I think that staff sergeant, like what we've seen in law enforcement, Frank, is that there are some law enforcement officers who would show up expecting not to be questioned.
Yes, they're the ego-driven, authoritarian figure, bro.
Right.
Driven by ego. We used to call it everything from the Napoleon complex to
John
just
Wayne syndrome, yeah.
John Wayne syndrome, frail ego. There were some folks that just didn't have the mental, emotional maturity to be involved in a position of authority, especially in the law enforcement military realm. I mean, they have the power literally to take your life.
Yeah.
Bro. To take your freedom. And so, another common thing that you hear, bro, is, well, it's safety. It's my officer safety. It's my, my troops' safety. Really? You've got hundreds of people behind you. You're worried, and you're worried about one guy with a camera. You got hundreds of people behind you that just entered the country illegally.
Yeah.
You don't know who in the world they are. But yet you're worried about the one guy with a camera who's out there just, documenting, reporting.
I can tell you when I was in the Border Patrol, people would pull cameras out. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Sometimes I would stand a certain way so my name tag wouldn't be shown, and that wasn't because I didn't want to be on camera. It's because we live in a small community.
Yes.
Sometimes people can identify as off duty, things like that, or try to Google our name and things like that. So for me that was a safety issue. But when people would try to film me like at the checkpoint or when I pull them over, I didn't care. And the reason I didn't care is because I was doing my job.
Yeah.
I felt very confident in my job, and I didn't mind questions. I didn't mind being confronted. And of course, but there comes a point in time where there's the use of force may have to be interjected there. But this guy, sad. I think he had this he thought his stripes were going to be all that he needed.
And raising his voice, bro, and probably the posturing. I mean, you look at the video, go look at it. We'll throw the link up there. You see the way that they surround Ben, bro, and that's clearly intimidating. I mean, it's unnecessary. You got hundreds of people behind you. You got your backs to them, concentrating on one guy who's just there with a camera. That's a very sad state of affairs. And in a sense, bro, under Abbott and Dan Patrick and Dade Phelan, the situation in Texas, and Dade Phelan is the Speaker of the House. The situation has degraded to such a point, bro, that we got brazen open invasion going on. Yeah. National Guard troops and DPS troopers, they're in a sense, they're escorting these people or at least holding them until Border Patrol can come and pick them up. And because ICE doesn't have the detention camp, and even if they did, under this administration, ICE is not going to.
They're not taking them.
They're not going to detain them or deport them.
Yeah. So
Border Patrol is having to release them.
And I got word the other day, Frank, that they're releasing single adult males again.
Yes. Yeah. After all this big hoopla about Biden was going to reinstitute remain in Mexico, we've been talking to agents up and down this border, man, and they're all saying, nah, that ain't happening. It's not going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're waiting. They're waiting for just as much.
Yeah, they want it as much as we do.
Yeah, as we do. And again, folks, these NGOs that are here. I just read a report that they're shuffling through their facilities here in Del Rio alone, 150 to 165 per day. Yeah. So that's over 1,050 per week. And those are conservative numbers.
Yeah.
So folks, that could be in the upwards of 2,000 per week coming through here because from when I talk with agents, I think the other day they had 900 in the station alone, plus 100 and some still waiting to be transported.
And those facilities were not made to hold that number of people, bro. And here we are, shoving freaking the nose scrape and the body prick, forcing it down Americans' throats. And yet, we've got this super spreader situations going on in border patrol stations where all these people are crammed into buildings, crammed into buses, and then released into America,
into
bro.
community.
Released into the heartland.
And these NGOs have admitted to us several times that these illegal aliens are not tested.
So since we're talking about the NGOs real quick, there's a major corporation, Endeavors. They're headquartered in San Antonio. Tony Gonzalez, globalist Republican Rhino congressman from CD23, has his office right next door on an Endeavors facility. It's at a Veterans Wellness Clinic at 6333 De Zavala Road in San Antonio. His office is in an Endeavors facility outside his district. And Endeavors was one of three major corporations to get a part of a $2 billion no-bid contract from Health and Human Services. And Endeavors got $89 million no-bid contract from ICE, bro. That's hundreds of millions of dollars to Endeavors. Tony Gonzalez's office is housed in an Endeavors facility in San Antonio. Tony Gonzalez said he was going to help the NGOs find resources, aka money for them.
He even sent out emails and letters
Saying he was gonna help them out. And then the thing about it, folks, is that he is right here in Del Rio, next door to Baptist Child and Family Services, who is running the biggest unaccompanied alien children center in the region down in Carrizo Springs. Baptist Child and Family Services. Tony Gonzalez is 10 steps away from them here in Del Rio, office next door to their office. And Endeavors, bro, is announcing jobs here in Del Rio. Wow. They're planning to open up a hotel facility. They spent years buying hotels up and down the river, up and down the border regions. They knew this was going to happen. It's pre-planned. This invasion was pre-planned. As many things about November 2020 were also planned.
And who's going to be paying for those rooms? You and I.
Yeah, they're going to get contracts. And then the other major NGO that's coming into town, they're already either looking for property or have bought property, is Catholic Charities, which is huge in operation down in RGV, McAllen area. And then also in El Paso, they have a very significant presence out there, along with Annunciation House, another one of Tony's NGO friends. And so we have a serious problem with our elected officials. We're going to be talking more about that. We got to get rid of Tony Gonzalez and CD23. Yep. We also have to make sure that rhinos like Pete Flotis and SD24 and throughout the state, and we're gonna come out with their names, folks. Yeah. We're gonna expose them on this show because we are your voice. We have to give you this information so that you can go and disseminate it. So like, share, and follow our broadcast, because we need to get the information out. So that call us the underground, news service or whatever. But we're going to provide you this information so you can make wise decisions. Those elections have consequences, and we're suffering the issues we are in America because of the decisions being made by politicians.
Very well said, Frank. Very well said. And folks, before we close, there was a question if things would change if Alan West was voted governor. I believe so. I'm not going to come out and do a full endorsement of anybody at this point in time. But we talked to Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and he expressed that he would love to, if governor, he would revoke and defund these like NGOs. DeSantis. Yep, like DeSantis would do, and that's what we need. We need somebody in office who's willing to stand up to these NGOs. Folks, they are the largest transportation service for the cartels, travel agencies for the cartels, and smuggling organizations, and facilitating human sex trafficking, folks.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that lightly because because you think, oh, you're attacking the Catholic Church. And it's not just the Catholic charities that are doing this, folks. It's other organizations that are doing this as well.
And we've spoken with adherents to the particular faiths, whether they're Baptists or Catholics or evangelicals, whatever. There's a lot of people that don't agree with what's going on. This is human trafficking, bro. That they are aiding and abetting. There were reports, and you will throw them up on the website here or link them on our broadcast today. But Georgia, I believe, was investigating what is happening with these children. There were reports of them being used as child labor in meat slaughtering houses.
Wow.
Another statistic I saw was that their Health and Human Services, once children have gone through the process and turned over to so-called sponsors, you know, they're losing track of up to 40% of these children, bro. And I'll just say it, bro, their DNA is probably scattered all over the place.
yeah.
Because there's all kinds of horrible things
Yep.
happening to these children.
And and folks, it's sad because the Biden administration was trying to, when Biden was running for office, they were trying to accuse the Trump administration of losing track of all these children. Same with Tony Gonzalez; he was trying to blame the prior administration for losing all these children. Folks, this is higher numbers than ever were in regards to unaccounted for minors here in the United States that are coming across illegally. Folks, we got to get going. Just a real quick reminder, we do have a website, tacoboutalive.com. You can go visit us. We got our live stream actually comes on the website as well. So if you can't get YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, go to our website. You can catch a live stream every Taco Tuesday. We will have our broadcast posted on there as well. And you can also download our podcast on Talk About It Live. We do have a store. You can get a hold of one of our nice fancy little mugs as well to join us on Taco Tuesday morning, and we'll be putting some more merchandise up there pretty soon. But folks, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Stay informed, folks. Investigate your candidates, and be willing to get involved.
And I'm out and about, folks. This is Frank Lopez Jr., U.S. Border Patriot. We're reporting to you in one way or another, bringing the information, trying to provide you as much, knowledge as you can possibly, as we can get to you, so that you'll spread that knowledge with others. We need to inform America about what's happening. What happens at the border does not stay on the border.
Yep, you're exactly right. So, folks, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Texas.